Hey guys, and welcome to my guide for PvP builds for Blade Master. Now, Blade Master is a class where you can't have one build for all matchups. There are a lot of points which will be swapped around in some of the matchups. So the way I'm going to be doing this video is that I'm going to first go over the points that stay consistent, and then I'm going to go through each matchup and tell you what points I use and what I move about. So let's begin with the points that stay consistent. Lunar Slash will always be a 2-second daze. Once we get more points, if you get like Whole Moon level 5, you can extend this to 3 points so that it becomes a 3-second daze, but while we're short on points, we're going to keep it to 2 seconds. Boot will always be a knockdown where we spend 2 points in it. Evade, we always put 1 point so that it puts us into draw stance when we press SS. Raid will most of the time be 2 points, so it extends CC duration by 2 seconds. However, against summoners, we will be putting 3 points into it for deep wound. Rush will always be a 2-second stun with 2 points in. Lightning Retribution, we always go for the 2-second daze. Breeze, we put 4 points into this. This is optional. If you really want to spend points elsewhere, you can either put 2 points into it or 0. But when we have 4 points, we actually get focus recovery of 2 every time we use it, and also we can get a chance of having a third focus recovery if it crits. I really advise using this though, because it makes comboing a lot easier and you don't have to be hugely wary of your focus. Flicker, we always spec into the stun. Obviously, stun is the strongest CC apart from knock up, so this is very strong. That sums up the stuff that we stay consistent. Now I'm going to move on to the matchups. The first matchup I'm going to cover is Destroyer or Blade Dancer. Now I've put these two together because I personally use the same build, because we play kind of similarly against them. So the tab escape we're going to be using is the daze one. You can use the escape from grapple, grab or phantom grip. I personally don't use this because I find their abilities quite easy to counter, and we're also going to be speccing 3 points into Flock of Blades so that we escape their grabs with Flock of Blades. So really I feel the tab escape with the daze is a lot better because we don't really need this one. The 5-point strike we'll be using is the daze one, only 2 points. We don't want the knock up because it's much stronger to keep them on the floor, and because we do a lot more damage while they're on the floor. Soaring Falcon we put 2 points into. This is because we can pull them out of their spins, so pull is pretty much mandatory and makes it a lot easier for us. Block, we're going to be using the parry block. Lightning Jaw, I personally use 4 points because I want more damage. If you're short on points, if you're Hong Mi level 1 let's say, then you want to be taking points out of Lightning Jaw because it's just extra damage, but it's not necessary because all the other points with the CC and the breaks are actually more important than just the pure damage. The shoulder charge we're going to be using is the one to the left. The 3 points so that it gives us focus recovery, penetrates defense, and also dazes. And finally, we use 1 point in ankle biter for the increased range. This just makes it a lot easier to land. You could take away this point if you're really that confident, but I really find it a lot easier if it has the 5-meter range. Now we're going to do Assassin. So Assassin, we're going to be using the daze tab escape. We're going to take 1 point away from Soaring Falcon, so it's only the normal projectile, and it gives us focus recovery for 3 points. It doesn't pull. The block, we're going to change it to the heal block. Now the reason for this is because if you have the parry block, they can actually they can swap you while you're parrying, but they can't swap you while you're blocking. So the parry can actually screw you over if it's unluckily timed, so we just eliminate that by using the heal block. We want to be using the shoulder charge, so the right hand tree. Flock of blades, we're going to be using 2 points, so we take the point out of the escape from grapples, because obviously assassins don't have grapples, and we're just going to be using it for the knockback to try and push them out of stealth. We're also going to add 1 point to 5 point strike so that it knocks up into the air. The reason we do this is because if they put their lotus flower down, they have an extra break free, but if we use 5 point strike on them while they're doing their lotus flower, then we can actually knock them in the air before they can use it and get some free damage on them. With the extra points that we removed from Flock of Blades and Soaring Falcon, we can also put 1 more point into Lunar Slash, so it becomes 3-second daze. Right, now we're going to do Force Master. So for this, we want to spec into 3 points into Cyclone. I'll take 2 points away from Lightning Draw, so we only have 2 in it, and also 1 point from the 5 point strike, so that will free us up points for into Cyclone. The shoulder charge we're using is the right hand side, so it approaches the enemy. We also want 2 points in the pull, so if you're using the assassin build, then we want to take 1 point away from the Lunar Slash and put it into the pull. The block, we want to be using the parry block, and apart from that it stays the same. Also, we're going to change Blade Call, so we're getting the damage portion of it, because you can spec into the grapple break, but I don't find Force Master's grapple that dangerous, so instead I go for the extra damage from Blade Call to try and do lots of damage to them. Angle Biter, we're also using 1 point, but this is optional, you don't have to use this. Next up, Kung Fu Master. So for this, we're going to be using the damage Blade Call. We're going to be using 3 points in Lunar Slash. We're going to be taking the points out of Cyclone, which we use against the Force Masters, and we put them back into Lightning Draw. We're going to be using the 2 points in 5 point strike for the daze. We'll be using the pull again, parry block. The shoulder charge we want to be using is the left hand side for the defense penetration, and then we put the 1 point into Ankle Biter. Otherwise everything is pretty standard. For Blade Masters, we also use that same build for KFM, so yeah, just go back a bit if you're only looking for the Blade Master matchup. Okay, last but not least is our Summoner matchup. Now, this is by far our hardest matchup, and it's bordering on unfair, but there are some tactics we can do to try and beat Summoners. But first off, the most important change you need to make is to make sure your tab escapes from knockdown, stun, daze, grapple, grab, and phantom grip. The reason for this, if they pin you on the floor and you have no way to escape, it is essentially game over. You are going to die or take so much damage it's impossible to recover from. Right, so with that done, you now have 2 tactics. One is kill the pet, or one is go after the summoner. For killing the pet, we need to stack a lot of burst, so we need Blade Call, so 2 points into this. We need Raid, so it gives Deep Wound on the target. Now what Deep Wound does is reduce the healing taken. This is quite essential for killing the pets. Also, if you have the Hung Moon Lightning Draw, then you want to take this one. If you don't have it, then you want to take this one with the 4 points, because we need as much burst as possible. The shoulder charge we're using is the left side one. We're also using the pull and the block. We can either take the healing block or the parry block. It doesn't matter too much, because blocking against summoners is really very dangerous, because they can use this to disable your defensive skills and your dash abilities, so you have to block very sparingly again in this matchup. Now, I said that there are two tactics. The other tactic is going after the summoner and speccing into Flock of Blades, so you put 3 points into Flock of Blades. For this, I'd advise taking 1 point out of Ankle Biter and putting it into Flock of Blades. You can also spec into Cyclone so that it resists damage while you're using it and gives you more focus regen. If you think that would be beneficial, then take 2 points out of Lightning Draw and 1 out of either Raid or your Pull and put 3 points into here. But I would actually recommend not using Cyclone and using the points elsewhere, because the other points are really quite important. That sums up all the builds for each matchup. As we get more Hung Moon levels, obviously you're going to be able to afford more points into lots of different utility, but what I've gone over is just the important parts of the build, and don't be afraid to change stuff around. Obviously there might be better ways to spend your points. This is more just an outline of some of the important abilities which you need in each matchup. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I will be doing more content for Blade and Soul, mainly focusing on Blade Master for now. I want to upload more of my arena matches as I'm starting to get slightly higher rated and I'm not completely terrible at the moment, so stay tuned.